There is something even more unsettling than failure. It is watching someone become what you chose not to become. That is the mirror effect. Your success is not what provokes jealous people. Your very existence does, because when you rise, you become evidence. Evidence that discipline was possible, that courage was available, that excuses were optional. And the moment your life becomes proof, their comfort begins to crumble, because your presence is no longer neutral. It becomes a confession they never wanted to face. Jealousy is the tribute that mediocrity pays to excellence. And when they realize they cannot compete with you, they stop trying to surpass you and begin trying to stain you. Most people misunderstand jealousy. They assume it is simple resentment. It is not. Resentment says, "I do not like what you have." Jealousy says, "I cannot tolerate what your existence reveals about me." That is a deeper wound, a far more private humiliation, because jealousy is not triggered by your rewards alone. It is triggered by your alignment, your focus, your structure, your refusal to betray yourself for approval. That is what unsettles them. Not your applause, not your title, not your visible achievements, but the foundation beneath it. Carl Jung understood something most people spend their lives avoiding. Human beings are not most disturbed by what they see outside themselves. They are disturbed by what it awakens within themselves. Jung called this the shadow, the rejected self, the denied self, the unlived self. Everything a person could have developed but did not. Everything they wanted to become but abandoned. Everything they were capable of but buried beneath comfort, fear, conformity, or hesitation. And when someone else begins to embody that buried potential, the shadow begins to stir. This is where jealousy becomes psychologically dangerous, because the jealous person does not perceive you clearly. They experience you symbolically. You are not just a person to them, you are a reminder of their hesitation, their compromise, their wasted time, their unrealized strength. So understand this clearly. They do not truly hate you. They hate the version of themselves they see reflected in you. You are simply the surface onto which they project their unlived life. This is why their reactions feel irrational, because they are. Instead of saying, "I am ashamed that I betrayed my own potential," they say, "You think you're better than everyone." Instead of saying, "Your courage exposes my passivity," they begin inventing flaws in you. That is projection. That is the shadow speaking. And this is why the process Jung called individuation disturbs the unconscious crowd. Because the awakened mind does not preach, it demonstrates. So when jealous people realize they cannot outwork you, cannot outshine you, cannot outgrow you, they adapt, and their methods become more subtle. The first move is rarely direct aggression. It is absence, selective silence. Watch carefully. When you struggle, they are present. When you doubt yourself, they are supportive. When you are uncertain, they are available. But when you truly succeed, they disappear. No congratulations, no acknowledgement, no energy. At first it seems small, almost insignificant. But silence is information, especially when it is selective. Because genuine people feel joy when they see effort rewarded. They may not fully understand your journey, but they can recognize sincerity. Jealous people cannot. Your success applies pressure to their identity, so instead of celebrating you, they withdraw emotionally to protect themselves. This is not neutrality, it is quiet resistance. They hope their silence will shrink your moment. They hope you will feel their absence and begin to dim yourself. Do not. Their silence is not a judgment. It is evidence. Evidence that your growth has entered a space where comparison begins. If silence fails, they move to reduction. This is the dimming effect, a passive-aggressive pattern designed to make your breakthrough feel accidental, not earned, not disciplined, not meaningful. You will hear it in subtle phrases. Perfect timing. You just got lucky. Must be nice. Let's see if it lasts. On the surface, these sound harmless, but psychologically, they are not casual remarks. They are correction attempts. The jealous mind cannot allow your success to remain evidence of merit. So it reframes your achievement as chance. Because if your achievement was built, then their lack of achievement was chosen, and that is unbearable. So they subtract your discipline. They erase your effort. They mock your intensity. They trivialize your standards. What they call luck is often preparation noticed too late. What they call obsession is often focus they never developed. And what they dismiss as not that deep is often a depth they are unwilling to explore. Now the jealousy becomes more strategic. Once they realize they cannot outdo you individually, they seek numbers. This is shadow recruitment. They do not attack you directly. That would reveal too much. Instead, they circulate concern, subtle concern, performative concern, disguised concern. I don't know. They've changed. I just hope success isn't getting to them. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just worried. This is not genuine concern. It is narrative seeding, a quiet campaign. The goal is not to destroy you instantly. The goal is to create doubt around you, to make others hesitate, to make your presence feel heavy, to make people question your intentions before you even speak. Because insecure individuals understand something instinctively. If they cannot lower your value, they will try to lower your credibility. And they recruit weaker minds not with facts, but with tone. Not with evidence, but with suggestion. This is one of the oldest social weapons in history. Not direct accusation, contamination. When they cannot defeat your reality, they begin editing your reputation. This becomes even more insidious when it disguises contempt as compassion. When jealous people can no longer deny your success, they begin mourning it. Suddenly, they become philosophers. Yes, but are they really happy? That life seems lonely. They've become too intense. I wouldn't want that kind of life. Notice the shift. They cannot make you unsuccessful, so they try to make your success look undesirable. Because pity is a psychological anesthetic. If they can convince themselves that your growth cost you your humanity, then they are no longer behind. They are balanced. They are normal. They are comfortable again. But this is how mediocrity protects itself, not by confronting greatness directly, but by associating greatness with loss. Sometimes the path of individuation is lonely. But loneliness is not always damage. Sometimes it is filtration. The final move is the most revealing: character distortion. When jealous people accept that they cannot outshine your work, cannot reduce your wins, cannot isolate you socially, they target your identity. They rewrite your story. Suddenly, your confidence becomes arrogance, your boundaries become cruelty, your focus becomes obsession, your privacy becomes manipulation, your ambition becomes greed, your calm becomes calculation. This is not disagreement. This is narrative warfare. And narrative warfare always depends on moral inversion. They need you to become the villain. Because if you remain competent and grounded, their bitterness has nowhere to hide. So they construct a version of you that justifies their hostility. A colder version, a harsher version, an easier version to resent. Do not be surprised by this. People who cannot reach your level will often attempt to lower your image. It is easier than growth and faster than self-reflection. Now comes the turning point, the part most people fail to master. The instinct of the wounded ego is to explain, to defend, to clarify intentions, to correct misunderstandings, to force people to see the truth. But a colder principle applies. Never fight for clarity in rooms committed to distortion. Because reaction gives legitimacy, explanation invites debate, defense suggests vulnerability, And jealous people feed on access. They want your words, your emotion, your energy, your attention. Do not provide it. The higher principle is strategic indifference, not passivity, not weakness, but precision. You do not respond to every falsehood. You do not chase every rumor. You become unreachable, not physically, but psychologically. You stop seeking validation. You stop performing innocence. You stop explaining your depth to people committed to surface. This is sovereignty. The moment your peace becomes more valuable than being understood. The moment your standards become immune to public confusion. Real power is not controlling what they say. Real power is no longer needing to engage with what they say. That is dominance. It is refusing to surrender your inner state to external noise. So the real question is this: are you willing to let them be wrong about you in order to protect your peace? If you are one of the quiet strategists, if you understand that true power is calm, disciplined, and untouchable, then continue forward without explanation.